Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having a great day, and welcome to the Tundra Dude 34 YouTube channel. Although today we are not talking about Toyota Tundras at all. A few days ago, I did a live stream, and one of the viewers asked a great question, which turned into an amazing conversation. So I'm going to have the same question for you guys. So make sure you go down in the comments and answer. What was your first car or truck? So today I'm going to not just talk about the first car I ever bought. I'm going to show you some pictures, and I'm going to tell you up front, they're terrible pictures because this is long before camera phones and everything like that. These are just actual, very shiny pictures from a camera. So they're not going to look great on here. I'm going to do my best to show you them. We're going to talk about my first car. Before we do, here's some fun pictures that have nothing to do with the topic of the video, but they were in this envelope of these pictures, and I figured you guys would get a kick out of it. This first one here is me and my friend Jesse, circa 2003. This is at Pocono Raceway, some 75 or so pounds ago. We were at, the NASCAR race. That's me and all the Kyle Petty stuff. I guess that's why I'm wearing the Kyle Petty hoodie today. Here's another one from 2004 with some buddies at Pocono again, still in Kyle Petty stuff. And then finally, this picture's from 2003 New Hampshire of Kyle Petty sitting waiting to go out for practice. So those random three pictures were in there as well. Why not show you some of the old stuff? Sometimes it's fun to look at things other than Tundras, but let's take a look at the car. And here's the story as you're looking at the pictures of the car. When I graduated high school, it was time to buy my first car. When I was in high school, I was driving my father's, I think it was a 98 or a 99 Ford Explorer. It was like hunter green with the tan. That was a fun vehicle to drive for your first vehicle because, everybody's rocking around in late 80s Honda Civics, and I have this, late model Ford Explorer, which could fit all my friends. So it was awesome. But when it was time to go out and buy a car, I just graduated high school in 2002. I went to one of those used car lots, which if you live in my area of New Jersey, there are a good amount of those. And I bought a 1996 Dodge Neon Coupe in white. The thing had like 99,000 miles on it. It wasn't in good shape at all. But when I saw it, I was like, I want to have some fun with this. I want to build up on it a little bit and kind of just learn, how to do things on the car that I own. I don't want to take the vehicle places. I want to do it myself. This is actually where working on cars became a big passion for me. I went out and I bought a Haynes book on the Dodge Neon of that model year and that time period, generation, I should say, and learned everything I could about the vehicle. And this vehicle never went in for service. I did everything to this vehicle, whether it be spark plugs, oil changes, tire rotations, and some of the other stuff we're going to talk about momentarily. But everything that had to be done on this vehicle, I figured it out in my driveway and got it done. And the best part is these old vehicles didn't have computers tied into everything, so it was a lot easier to work on. So it is where my love and passion for working on vehicles came from. This Neon that I paid around $2,000 for, instantly needed to have new struts put in it. I eventually did springs on it, but you will see my Fast and Furious-esque build of being 18 in 2002. So I don't know if you guys know anything about Dodge of this time period, but these Neons had a really bad paint problem. I mean, the paint was falling off this thing if it had a heavy wind outside. So this thing was chipping paint all over the place. But you know what? We did what we could, and I decided eventually I'm going to paint the car. So all the money that went into this vehicle was from me and my job. At first we put stupid things on it, and then we got a little bit better along the way because I was 18, going to college and working a 9 to 5. So it started out its life as white, but then I decided I'm going to start doing some fun stuff to it. So I ended up adding, first off, eBay Motors was like my best friend. Cold air intake I put in it, new spark plugs. I think I mentioned the struts, the new springs, which was a nightmare. This thing got a full exhaust on it, catback, I should say, exhaust, a few different ones along the way. When I started making more money, I started to upgrade them. This thing had all sorts of modifications put on it. My buddy and I put a body kit, a Blitz body kit on this vehicle in my yard, which the Blitz body kit is the one from the first Fast and Furious on the Mitsubishi Eclipse that Paul Walker drives, fun fact there. But everything that went on this vehicle, it got painted orange. I decided to paint it orange with black accents. And it's not in this picture or these pictures, but right after they were taken, a carbon fiber hood went on it as well. I went to Mako to get the paint job, and it was like an $800 paint job. I didn't go for like the $200 presidential one or anything of the time period. The $800 one, they did more prep, they did more coats, they did a clear coat, they did everything, and it did come out really good. But one thing that didn't come out good, as you see in the pictures, the body kit was like a mint green, okay? And by the time I drove home from Mako, the body kit was already starting to chip, like the front bumper. The car itself was fine, but the body kit was starting to chip. And the gentleman told me that that wasn't covered in the paint situation, which we did come to an agreement and figured out. But at first I was like, so why did I just spend $800? So we had black wheels on it. It had carbon fiber taillights, Alteza, I think they called those. It had a carbon fiber muffler on a catback exhaust at that time period. I ended up getting a new trunk lid so I could get the spoiler. Uh, that was before the paint job, actually. Eventually, the headlights got swapped out. First, it was the bulbs, then it was the assemblies, the marker lights as well. There's so many things I did to this vehicle. Put the spark plugs in because there were problems along the way with this vehicle. I was on a bridge on Garden State Parkway, and all of a sudden, the vehicle just wouldn't keep speed. It was like 30 miles an hour, struggling to get up the bridge. I ended up having to replace the spark plugs. There was a fuel filter issue I had with this vehicle. There was a timing chain issue I had with this vehicle, and I just figured it all out. And that was the fun part of working on the vehicle. Now, it ended its life in 2005 for me, at least. I was having a problem where the vehicle just kept stalling. If I was sitting at a light, and this is the fun stories of your first vehicle. If I was sitting at a light and I wasn't just holding the gas down to keep the RPMs up a little bit and then like neutral dropping it into drive, if I took my foot, if I just let it idle and took my foot off the brake and went to the gas, in between that going from brake to gas, it would stall. All right, and couldn't figure out the issue no matter what we did. I actually brought it into a shop. They couldn't figure it out. And it got to the point where on its last day, I was going to work and I was like 2 blocks from work and it shut off on me. And yeah, that was the last day I had it. And that day I went out and bought my first Toyota, which was a 2002 Toyota Tacoma pre-runner. And that was cool. But I'll be honest with you. I look back on this and one of my buddies that, was friends with me back then also, he's always like, hey, remember that neon you had? I'm like, yes, I do. I do remember that neon. But the first car stories are always fun. It was a great car. I think I finally stopped driving it when it was around, I bought it at like 98,000 miles. It was probably just under, if not just over 200,000 miles. I don't have any pictures I could find because, again, this is before camera phones. This is back in the day. But that was a labor of love, that car, on a budget, on a very low budget. And I was able to, like I said, study up on the Haynes book as much as I could to learn as much as I could about the vehicle so I could do all of my own maintenance, all of my own performance upgrades, if that's what you would call it on a Dodge Neon. But it was cool at the time period. Would I want that back now? No. But I really wanted to make this video because of the great conversation we had on the live stream. And I want to hear what your first vehicle was. And if you have any great story with it, I'd love to hear everything. Also, one thing I forgot to add, I put like 4 different head units in this vehicle, CD players, because they kept getting stolen out of it. Apparently, it was very easy to break into Dodge Neons at the time because they would take the head unit, they would take the bezel part of the dash that goes with it, which was a real pain to find. I have to keep going to junkyards to find those. But yeah, it was a labor of love and some great stories that came with it. But I know we talk about Tundras. It's a Tundra channel. We're going to the dealership tomorrow and everything, and we'll get back to that. But what is your first car is a great question for everyone. So go down to the comments. Give us the story. I want to hear everything. I'm sure we all have great stories with it. And to end my story with this orange neon, I actually sold it to a gentleman who ended up redoing all the things that needed to be done. I mean, that car at that point probably needed a new engine, a new transmission. It was beat by the time I was done with it. It was beat when I got it. So we were able to, extend the life of it as much as we could. But last I heard of that car, I got rid of it in '05 to that gentleman. Maybe 2007, it was still going and he did a lot of good stuff to it. So that's my first vehicle. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And feel free, if you have pictures of you and your first vehicle, you could send those to tundradude34@gmail.com. Great topic. Can't wait to see what you guys started your automotive passion with. Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok at tundradude34, tundradude34@gmail.com. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. Can't wait to see your first vehicle.